Riches don't belong to the hardest workers. If effort translated directly into wealth, teachers and laborers would own fortunes. But they don't. Wealth follows influence. The ones who command, who bend boundaries, who act first. Machiavelli revealed this centuries past. Luck favors the audacious, not the obedient. Most remain poor simply because they play the wrong game. So the question remains, will you stop obeying and begin ruling? Part 1. The myth of hard work. If sweat made kings, then slaves would have ruled. Many accept the oldest lie ever told. If I grind harder, I'll see riches. They imagine wealth comes from toil, endless hours, and personal sacrifice. But truly open your eyes, notice your surroundings. The hardest workers are often the poorest in the society. Builders strain their bodies. Nurses pull graveyard shifts. Teachers dedicate themselves to students. Yet, they wrestle with bills. If labor was the answer, they'd all be billionaires. The reality is effort isn't rewarded, power is. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He wrote, "He who works for another is always a servant, but he who puts others to work becomes the master." Reflect on it. The poor give up time for cash, but the wealthy use leverage. That's why a CEO's daily earnings can outstrip a year's salary of an employee. Not by working harder, but by owning control. This is the myth of hard work. It's a tactic to keep people docile. Society demands, get educated, get a job, work for decades, pinch your pennies. But this isn't wealth. It's mere survival. You spend your prime building another's legacy, and at last, you retire with just enough to scrape by. That's no freedom, it's confinement. Let me explain the psychology beneath. Humans are wired to follow authority, not peers. Rich individuals rise swiftly because they assert leadership. They radiate confidence, make bold choices, and others rally around that force. People invest trust, time, and money into those who seem in control. When this happens, wealth multiplies. Meanwhile, the hard worker remains unseen. He clocks in and out, grinds, sweats, but remains unfollowed. No investments pour in. He stays trapped in a cycle, assuming more effort will bring rewards. But time is finite, and work alone never breaks the chains. That's why so many stay broke. Their mind stays shackled to labor. They cling to the hope that perseverance leads to payoff. In truth, hard work without power enriches only those at the top. Every minute worked builds the master's fortress. So the first principle to remember, labor isn't wealth control. If your choices don't direct cash, you're just a pawn, and pawns always pay the price. Observe the rich. Do they work harder than the poor? Number, they function differently. They invest in ownership, not endless effort. They maximize leverage, not labor. Hence, their ascent is exponential. The message is harsh, yet direct. Cease worshipping labor as the path to riches. It's not. Effort might keep you going, but only power brings prosperity. Part 2. Power builds wealth. Society presumes money rules the world. Look closer. Money obeys a master, and that master is always influence. Wherever influence grows, riches follow. The rich don't run after cash. They chase dominance. When Machiavelli penned The Prince, he discussed authority, not mere currency. Even today, his lessons cut deeper than countless motivational quotes. Here's how it actually works. Wealth grows fastest, not by stacking wages, but by cultivating leverage. Consider it. An employee trades sweat for payment. The master deals in decisions that shape empires. The worker's life is spent at a clock. The master's life is spent pulling strings. Who do you think prospers? The biggest error is equating effort with influence. If I just grind harder, I'll climb higher. they say. But doubling hours, tripling hustle, without leverage, still leaves you empty. Why? Your work is chained to another's plan. The construction crew builds skyscrapers they can't inhabit. The nurse keeps the hospital running, but struggles to pay her own expenses. They work harder than billionaires, yet riches escape them. Machiavelli would scoff at the notion that hard work brings wealth. He'd insist the one who places others to work for him sits above. That's the real divide. Here's the crux. Power generates wealth. I'll illustrate with reality. Two partners launch a restaurant, and one becomes the chef, laboring from dusk till dawn, and the other manages systems, hires staff, owns the brand. Initially, the chef appears the hardest worker. Years later, who prevails? The systems builder. Because power multiplies, labor does not. That's why the rich prioritize commanding positions, not endless sweat. They secure influence, resources, and remain atop pyramids with armies responding to their words. Psychologically, people are drawn to certainty. Bold, authoritative moves gain followers, devotion, funds, even energy. Once flow is controlled, wealth surges. But make a mistake. Choose comfort. Chase traditional hard work. And after decades, you'll be drained and empty-handed. That's not prosperity. It's disguised servitude. You trade your golden years for another's empire, barely scraping by at the finish line. Many retire poor because survival was the trap. They believed they were progressing, but played a losing game. Machiavelli's insight flips the script. Stop asking, how do I get rich? Start asking, how do I seize power? Gain authority and money runs after you. What's actionable? Own, don't rent. Shift from worker thought to owner thought. Own assets, businesses, attention. Ownership is step one toward mastery. Influence perception. Machiavelli believed appearances often outweigh truth. If people see strength, they treat you accordingly, and that draws wealth. Reputation is a faster route to riches than decades of labor. Trim what's holding you back. If trapped, escape. Don't waste years proving your value in a system that denies reward. Find arenas where influence is up for grabs. New fields, booming markets, untapped territories. Be bold. Power comes to those who act, not those who wait. Once these rules are followed, you'll notice a shift. Suddenly you're not chasing wealth. It's finding you. Investors approach without invitation. Partners seek you. Opportunities appear. But beware. The rise invites resistance. Envy, sabotage, betrayal. They accompany power. Machiavelli viewed resistance as proof, evidence of true influence. Most fail to see this and desire riches without risk. Fast wealth demands authority, and real authority requires courage. When the old thought creeps in, I'll get ahead if I try harder. Pause. That's the servant's belief. Ask instead, how can I steer money with decisions, not labor? That's thinking like a master. Ultimately, the richest aren't the smartest or hardest workers. They grasp one law. Influence brings wealth. Part 3. Fortune sides with the bold. Most wait. For more money, better timing, or guaranteed success. As they wait, the bold make moves. Machiavelli cautioned, fortune never favors the meek. It's reserved for those who dare. Here's the reality. Hesitation destroys opportunity. Safety is a slow rot, not security. History proves this. Empires, corporations, legacies were shaped by those who acted when others paused. Machiavelli compared fortune to a woman, conquered only by the forceful. What's the lesson? Wealth doesn't arrive politely. It's seized by the assertive. Why does boldness spark wealth? Because certainty attracts money. Move with conviction, even without answers. and people bet on your drive. They trust, follow, and invest. Doubt repels, certainty pulls. The trap. I'll start when I'm ready, when the world's stable, when it's perfect. That's how doors close. The quick fortunes came from speed. Tech founders launched before waves. Investors bought while crowds panicked. Leaders acted before certainty. Speed wins. Waiters blend in. Another servant, another face, another follower. No one bets on the cautious. And when they act, it's too late. Someone braver claimed the prize. The fix? Cultivate action. Make a habit of launching ideas within a day. Don't let hesitation drown progress. Next, let fear guide you. When it arises, it signals that power is near, not always danger. Bold leaders use fear as fuel, not a brake. Place yourself in sprinting markets. Real wealth flashes in fast-moving fields. Technology, finance, media, disruptive sectors. The quickest domains breed the quickest riches. Move before you're fully prepared. The boldest act with 60% certainty, knowing hesitation is a losing bet. Imagine two prospectors at the start of a gold rush. One studies, prepares. The other digs. Who gets rich? The one who acts, even imperfectly. Boldness is rare because humans fear loss more than desire gain. Psychologists call it loss aversion. Most would avoid losing $100 over risking $1,000. The rich flip this. Risk brings reward, and if loss comes, recovery is possible. That's why Machiavelli wrote that fortune detests the timid. She rewards force, decisiveness, and defiance of permission. To apply, act under pressure. Train to move when stakes are high. Pressure sharpens choices. Take asymmetric risks. Favor actions with sky-high upside and manageable downside. Seize opportunities before others. The first mover always profits more. Release your need for approval. Boldness attracts criticism. Being doubted means you're visible. If uncriticized, you're invisible. With practice, you'll see the world moves slowly while you surge ahead. Momentum is tough to match, but accept. Being bold costs. Mistakes will happen. Losses, envy, opposition. It's part of the territory. Machiavelli agreed. Resistance signals power. No opposition? No impact. At high levels, boldness isn't forsaking caution. It's orchestrating the moves of whole groups. Leaders multiply their force through teams, networks, and followers. Empires rise this way. So remember, speed breeds riches, fortune aligns with the bold, and hesitation hands success to rivals. The bold may falter, but the cautious never ascend. Part 4. Leverage, the rich man's covert weapon. Most people strain with empty hands and wonder why nothing shifts. The wealthy discover levers. They move mountains with minimal effort. This lever is called leverage. It's the hidden engine of swift fortune. So why does one labor for a lifetime, another soar in months? The answer, leverage. Multiply results for each action. Without it, you crawl. With it, you fly. Machiavelli knew rulers never fought alone. Alliances, armies, fear, and reputation became their levers. 4 kinds of leverage dominate: money, manpower, intellect, and public attention. Money leverage. While the poor wait to earn enough, the rich ask, whose capital can fuel my goals? They wield loans, partnerships, and investment alliances. Money moves at their command. Fear misuse, and it'll obey someone else. Use it properly, and empires grow. People leverage, move alone, progress crawls. Move with many, success storms in. CEOs, kings, influencers, none triumphed solo. They inspired troops, teams, fans, multiplying their vision. Lead others, accelerate. Knowledge, leverage. It's what you know ahead of others. Smart investors see tech booms early. Leaders forge alliances before rivals notice. Early insight is a weapon, an advantage while others are blind. Attention leverage, the modern kingmaker. Attention is currency. Shape public perception, control choices, trust, and wallets. Influencers, brands, leaders, all climb fastest by winning attention. Attention fuels deals, sales, opportunities. The mistake, doing it all alone. The lone worker drags a plow. The leader commands an army. From a psychological view, people follow strength. Visible forward motion draws support, compounding progress. Momentum rarely builds from solo grinding. Ignore leverage and face burnout. Decades lost while the less skilled, bolder, and younger surpass you rapidly. They aren't lucky, they're leveraged. The solution? Shift your thinking from, how can I do this, to who or what can multiply my effort. This flips the script. Here's how. Use others' money. Investments and debt, properly wielded, can outpace slow saving. Build partnerships. Joint ventures sometimes outgrow solo gigs. Invest smart. Choose knowledge that brings unfair advantages. Capture attention. Create, post, network, build your image. Without recognition, no wealth follows. With these strategies, the impact multiplies. Others seek you out. Clients, partners, investors. Machiavelli's twist. Climb high enough and watch opposition grow. Rivals, jealous friends, competitive foes, they target the fast riser. Power brings resistance. If no one seeks to stop you, you're still unseen. At advanced levels, leverage means manipulating perceptions. Machiavelli said reputation can outweigh skill. People respond to how you're seen, amplifying momentum. A powerful brand breaks mountains nobody else can move. Endgame. Mix investor money, recruit teams, own knowledge, sway attention. Suddenly you're unbeatable. You build a fortress. Others depend on you. When they need you more than you need them, you've won? The Machiavellian path isn't slow. It's quick, cunning, and driven by leverage. The rich never play the worker's game. They always use the lever. So remember, a single lever can shift worlds. Find yours and command results. Part 5. Legacy, the true test of lasting power and wealth. Getting rich is simple. Staying wealthy and being remembered long after are the ultimate challenges. Money fades, but legacy survives as the highest currency. Every dynasty, fortune, or empire faces a single dilemma. Will it outlive its founder? Too many aim only to get rich, but that's just round one. The true masters, Machiavellian minds, build legacies. Machiavelli observed rulers rising swiftly but disappearing quickly. Why? Their power stood on shaky ground, luck, charismatic bursts, or fleeting fame. The enduring few created systems, symbols, and stories larger than life. Think of multi-century dynasties, billionaires whose names turned to brands. Legacy is immortal wealth. Let's analyze layers. System legacy. Empires that rely solely on their creator collapse when that person exits. Build lasting frameworks. Companies, institutions, networks that thrive without oversight. The throne endures beyond the king. The company outgrows the CEO, knowledge legacy, rulers codify law, leaders pen books, entrepreneurs craft blueprints, handing down wisdom arms future generations. Guide the minds of tomorrow. Power multiplies across eras. Image legacy. Machiavelli taught perception outlasts reality.